In the cold, dark waters of northern Norway, a single battleship held the entire Royal Navy in fear. Her name was Tirpitz, sister ship of the Bismarck, armored like a floating fortress, armed with guns that could crush a cruiser in a single blow. To Churchill, she was the Beast. And as long as she lived, the Arctic convoys to Russia could never be safe. But the British had a plan, not with battleships, not with aircraft, but with 6 tiny submarines, each no longer than a bus, and powered by only 4 men inside. They were called X-craft. Their mission? Penetrate the fjord, evade nets, mines, patrol boats, and tidal currents, sneak beneath the Tirpitz, and plant explosive charges powerful enough to rip open her armored hull. It was a mission so dangerous, commanders described it simply as a suicide operation with a small chance of survival. In early September 1943, the X-craft were towed across the North Sea by larger submarines. The weather was brutal. Salt spray froze on deck. Inside the craft, the air grew thin, damp, and foul. The crews operated in 40 degrees Fahrenheit, surrounded by batteries that could leak acid and engines that filled the tiny hull with choking fumes. One commander wrote, "It was like living inside a steel coffin, one that creaked with every wave." Still, they pressed on. On the night of September 21st, 1943, the X-craft slipped their tow lines and headed alone toward Fjord, where the Tirpitz waited. 2 craft were lost almost immediately. One struck a mine. Another was trapped in anti-submarine nets. The crews were captured, but not before destroying their equipment. The remaining 2, X6 and X7, continued forward. They moved slowly, silently. Every turn of the propeller measured, every sound a threat. Above them, German patrol boats circled. Searchlights swept the surface. Hydrophones probed the depths. One wrong move, and the mission was over. Just after dawn, X6 reached the Tirpitz anchorage. Visibility was almost zero. The water was thick with silt and debris. The commander peered through the periscope and saw the dark shape of the battleship looming above him. They were directly beneath the largest German warship ever built. Working quickly, the crew released their side charges, each packed with 2 tons of high explosive. Moments later, X7 did the same. Both crews attempted to escape, but the fjord was filled with nets. X6 was trapped. X7 became entangled and sank. Some men were rescued. Others were not. But the charges were in place. At 8:12 a.m., the water in the fjord shook like thunder. A massive blast lifted the Tirpitz out of the sea. Bulkheads crumpled, engines tore loose, the stern twisted, flooding spread through multiple compartments. Several gun turrets were knocked out of action. It was as if the ship had been hit by an underwater earthquake. The German commander later wrote, "The ship convulsed. Men were thrown to the floor. I believed for a moment that we were breaking in half." The Tirpitz did not sink that day, but she was crippled, completely immobilized. It took 6 months for Germany to attempt repairs. Even then, the ship was never the same. The X-craft mission, Operation Source, had succeeded beyond expectation. 4 men received the Victoria Cross. 9 others received high honors. Every sailor involved had risked everything. Tiny submarines, crewed by volunteers, did what the Royal Navy's battleships could not. They had broken the back of Hitler's last great sea weapon. Operation Source proved that courage, skill, and innovation could defeat even the largest war machine. It was a turning point in the Arctic War, and it ensured that the Tirpitz, Churchill's beast, would never again threaten the Allied convoys. From the frozen fjords to the silent depths, the story of the X-craft remains one of the most daring naval attacks in history. A reminder that sometimes the smallest vessels carry the greatest bravery.